The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte says she will no longer run for president in the 2022 elections. This after her father, President Rodrigo Duterte, accepted his nomination as the vice presidential candidate of PDP Laban. The presidential daughter said she will no longer vie for the presidency, as she and her father have agreed that only one of them will run for a national position in 2022. But Mayor Sara said in an interview that President Duterte's vice presidential bid will not affect any of her other plans in the upcoming elections. She also said that politics does not interfere with their family relationship. As Tropical Storm Jolina maintains its strength, Typhoon Kiko has intensified while moving over the Philippine Sea. Bagyong Kiko was last spotted 670 kilometers east of Balera in Aurora as of 10 a.m. Kiko is packing winds of up to 195 kilometers per hour and gusts of up to 240 kph. Because of the typhoon, a few areas in Luzon have been placed under signal number 1. These are Cagayan, including the Babuyan Islands, the northeastern portion of Apayao, and the northeastern portion of Isabela. In the next 12 hours, Pag-asa expects Kiko to move west-northwestward, and Kiko is forecast to continue intensifying. It may reach a peak intensity between 185 and 205 kph the night or tomorrow morning before passing close to mainland northern Luzon and over the Babuyan Islands. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Jolina was last spotted at 240 kilometers west of Dagupan City, Pangasinan. It has maximum sustained winds of 85 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 115 kph. The Weather Bureau expects Jolina to move generally west-northwestward today over the West Philippine Sea, and the tropical storm may exit the PAR later tonight. Health authorities say that there have been 106 vaccinated people who died due to COVID-19, while 5 fully vaccinated individuals also passed away due to the coronavirus disease. To discuss this further, we now have Greg Gregorio reporting live from Antipolo City. Good afternoon, Greg. How many vaccinated individuals had COVID-19 specifically, and how many are fully vaccinated?
Charles, according to the latest adverse events following immunization report given by FDA Director General Eric Domingo, among the more than 23 million vaccinated individuals in the country, about 1,135 of them had COVID-19 even after receiving doses of COVID-19 vaccine. 242 of them were actually already fully vaccinated when they had COVID-19 vaccine. Thus, their condition has been considered as a breakthrough infection. Charles?
Greg, what were the reasons behind the deaths of these vaccinated individuals?
Charles, according to available data, all of the recorded deaths among fully vaccinated individuals are all senior citizens who have comorbidities. Domingo added that 2 of them had diabetes, while they are still getting more information about the death of the remaining 3 individuals who died even after being fully vaccinated. Charles?
Greg, did the FDA divulge what specific vaccine brands were used for those who still had the coronavirus disease?
Charles, according to the report, most of the COVID-19 cases recorded among vaccinated individuals are those who had Sinovac doses. 180 of them actually had COVID-19 vaccine, had COVID-19 even after receiving full doses of Sinovac. 47 of them had AstraZeneca, while 4 had Pfizer and 11 had Janssen. For the deaths, 4 of the deaths had Sinovac doses, while 1 had Janssen. Charles?
Greg, do these breakthrough infections point to a waning efficacy of the coronavirus vaccines?
Charles, we've asked that to Director General Eric Domingo, but according to him, the data is still is still a small. We are still having a small data for us to interpret if these are enough evidence of waning immunity coming from the COVID-19 vaccines brought by the various variants of SARS-CoV-2. Charles?
Right, Greg, let's move on to how many COVID vaccines have been administered in the country so far, and how far are we from a target?
Charles, as of now, as of August 2019, which is the cutoff of the report, there have been 33.3 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines administered across the country. According to Domingo, this is about 20% of the population, meaning we are still in a long way before we could achieve the target population control, which is about 50% or around 50% of the population. More so if we are targeting the 80 to 90% of the population achieving herd immunity. Charles?
Of that figure, Greg, how many of the vaccinated individuals reported experiencing side effects or maybe serious adverse reactions?
Charles, according to the report, about 60,000 had reported adverse events following the immunization, and about 2,000 of them had serious adverse events. But according to Domingo, this is still below 1%. In fact, there is only 0.0018% for those who reported adverse events following immunization. Charles?
Thanks for that, Greg. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Antipolo. Metro Manila mayors have agreed to adopt uniform alert levels across the region. That's according to Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro. And he said mayors decided to go with a uniform approach, both alert level systems, since NCR residents frequently travel between cities for work or business.
Ang pinagkasundoan ng mga Metro Manila mayors is that jointly we should approach the problem as a group, as one. The Chairman Benhur Abalos, bibigay ko yung credit sa kanya. Kinausap niya lahat ng mayor dahil we recognize the fact that yung population natin sa Metro Manila commingling magkakasama sa isang lugar. Yung mga boundary natin porous yung nagtatrabaho sa Makati, maring umuwi dito sa Marikina, o kaya yung nataga-Pasig dito namamalengke sa Marikina. So jointly we agreed that we will adopt one alert level for the whole of the metropolitan Manila area.
Meanwhile, DILG Undersecretary Pimaco Dinsing III clarified that LGUs are not allowed to impose bakuna bubbles in their cities. Recall that officials at the national level have thumbed down proposals to give fully vaccinated individuals more mobility. But the Cebu City government recently passed an executive order that effectively implemented a bakuna bubble.
The Department of Justice has already given their opinion that until and unless everybody is given the opportunity with an abundant supply of vaccines to be vaccinated, then we cannot impose a policy where there is a bakuna bubble or only those who are vaccinated will be allowed to enter into public places. No? So if it's in the form of an executive order, then we will have to communicate with the mayor of Cebu City, si Mayor Rama, to tell him to recant and amend that specific executive order. There are more than a number of mayors who made that in the past, and we asked them to recant and revise, and they did. Otherwise, that could be an evidence for us to send them a show cause order. In the meantime, we will ask him to withdraw so that hindi na po natin mapadalahan ng show cause.
In a poll of more than 100 scientists conducted by the journal Nature in January, Nearly 90% said they expected SARS-CoV-2 to become an endemic. Endemics continuously circulate in the community, often causing periodic spikes when conditions favor transmission, like over the winter. As we know, variants make this even more complicated. The more the coronavirus circulates, the more opportunity it has to mutate in ways that enhance its ability to evade the immunity people have gained from natural infection and vaccination. So far, only one human disease, smallpox, has officially been eradicated. So here to discuss is Dr. Amish Adalja. He is a senior scholar with the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security at the Bloomberg School of Public Health. Dr. Adalja, thank you so much for being here. So given the data that we just heard on endemics, what's your take? Will COVID always be around?
I've always said that COVID will always be around. What you have is an efficiently spreading respiratory virus that has an animal host. That is not something that can be eradicated. That is not something that can be eliminated. Smallpox was eradicated and eliminated because it has different biology than COVID-19. It was something that had no animal host, that you could quickly identify, that everybody had a rash. So it's not something that's amenable to every disease. And from the very beginning, many of us have said, this is something that's going to become endemic. This is something that's never going to go away. So we've got to come up with a way to reduce its morbidity and mortality. And that's what the vaccine does. But we're going to have COVID cases 10 years from now, 20 years from now. It's not going anywhere.
What does that mean in the short term, though? Because right now, I mean, we're dealing with still large pockets of America that's still not willing to get vaccinated. Some hospitals are struggling. I mean, what does that mean for the fall and the winter?
In the fall and the winter, we're likely going to see acceleration of transmission because this virus favors is favored during colder conditions, when it is less humid, when it is less sunny, when people have to go indoors. There's going to be acceleration, and it's going to be particularly pronounced where you've got pockets of people who are not immune. And that's going to be something that could be difficult for hospitals, especially as they contend with other respiratory viruses that are also circulating. So this is why it's so important to get vaccinated now before the winter season starts, before we have to deal with another spike of COVID-19, even though we're not fully done with the current spike that we're seeing now.
Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Dozens of fishermen were rescued at sea during the onslaught of tropical cyclone Julina, but at least 2 remain missing. PDP Laban formally nominates the God Duterte tandem for next year's polls. But while President Duterte accepts his nomination, Senator Bongo once again declined. And the candidates of this year's Miss Universe Philippines competition showcased their hometowns in their latest tourism videos. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us again later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.